this story I'm about to cover is unfortunately a few days old at this point, and I was going to cover it when it was a little more fresh off the presses, but unfortunately, well, 2 days ago I had my day off, my scheduled day off. Yesterday I was supposed to stream and cover it, but then we had the mother of all OBS crashes. For my YouTube viewers that don't know, because you just watch on, YouTube videos and maybe you don't watch streams, there has been this problem I've had with my computer lately where roughly 50 or more % of the time when I try to go live, my OBS, which is the program I use to stream, that everyone uses to stream, just outright crashes. It won't let me maintain a steady stream, and then when I try to end stream and make a new one, the program crashes when I try to hit stop stream. And YouTube has such horrible infrastructure for this that every time I make a new stream to try and get the stream working, I risk getting a false strike from YouTube for spam, and there is no way to not make a new stream every time I retry after OBS crashes. So at a certain point yesterday, I got so scared of getting a false strike for spam that I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to stream on Twitch now. So if you're watching and you want to watch me live, and you're wondering why my streams don't happen on YouTube anymore, they're on Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. I am a Twitch streamer now until I get a new PC, it would seem. Anyway, this is the story in question. It has to do with AOC, and the fact that many people on the left seem to be turning on her, particularly the very loud and outspoken types that are like, I'm not ever supporting a Democrat unless the US stops supporting Israel. Those types of lefties, the people who 4 years ago would have been Bernier busters. Well, before I get to that story, I want to talk about something different. Because you see, this isn't talked about, at all for some reason, and this is one of the biggest stories that should be getting discussed by progressives and the left going into 2024, but the problem with that is, it has to do with real politics, and you can pretty much look at the viewer count on any lefty content creator when they talk about electoral politics compared to, drama on the internet to see, why not a lot of people know about what I'm about to discuss, and B, this is just not, it doesn't really come off as that exciting of a topic. And C, it doesn't fit a narrative that's really popular right now about the Democrats actively not caring about the Palestinians. This is the article in question. The Squad is about to fight for its political life. The war in Gaza has set the stage for a huge primary battle in 2024. Some of you might be sighing and rolling your eyes because I have read this article a few times before on stream, but, many new people are going to be watching this video and this stream that don't know about this, and the more people that do know about it, the better, because it's going to help to put a lot of things into perspective. One of the biggest, bitterest, and most expensive political battles of the 2024 election cycle has emerged. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, A-I-P-A-C, so silent I, AIPAC, one of the most powerful, best funded influence operations in all of Washington, is planning to go all out to knock the famed Squad, the small group of highly visible and popular progressive legislators of color, most of them women, out of office. The most outspoken and unapologetically leftist contingent of the Democratic Party in national office, the Squad has been vocal in its criticisms of Israel's retaliatory assault on Gaza following the October 7th massacre of Israelis by Hamas. Members of the group have prominently pushed a ceasefire resolution in Congress. It now has 18 signatories. Their positions on the issue are hardly radical. A recent data for Progress poll found that 66% of Americans support a ceasefire, as do 80% of Democrats. But AIPAC has trained its attention on these members to make an example of them, and has spent heavily against a few of them before. AIPAC, quote, wants to make the statement of this cycle that no one is safe from their wrath, that if you speak out, you can be targeted no matter how popular or how many cycles of incumbent you are, said Connor Farrell, president of the progressive fundraising group Left Rising, in a phone call. It's extremely audacious. There are now 7 indisputable members of the Squad, blah, 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 blah. AIPAC has a turbulent history with them and progressives in general. In the 2022 midterms, the Israel lobby became the largest single-issue outside spender in the Democratic primaries, pouring in nearly $30 million via the Super PAC, the United Democracy Project, and millions more via the Democratic Majority for Israel PAC. It was an astronomical amount of money, mostly dedicated at knocking progressives out of the primaries, largely in open and redrawn seats, despite there being fewer vacancies in 2024. That money figure is expected to at least triple. So, I could go on here, but this basically goes on to talk about how AIPAC plans. Close watchers now expect AIPAC to spend at least $100 million in Democratic primaries, largely trained on eliminating incumbent squad members from their seats. So, this is AIPAC, A-I-P-A-C, chat, not A-P-A-C, A-I-P-A-C. There's Israel is in that acronym, mind you. This is the Israeli government lobbying our government. They have outright admitted they are going to try to politically assassinate the squad by dedicating insane amounts of Israel money to, getting them out of office by supporting their rivals and making them lose their elections in the Democratic primaries for their seats. So, two things you want to pull from this. The squad, the most progressive representatives we have in our government, period, just simply put, are being targeted by one of the most powerful and well-funded lobbying groups in all of Washington because they have been so outspoken about what is happening in Gaza and in calling for a ceasefire and in trying to push motions for the U.S. to call for a ceasefire in Congress. Now, here's the thing. That shouldn't surprise you, right? Like, obviously, the squad is very, critical of Israel, all that good stuff. You know, it makes sense, right? Here's the thing, though. There is another group that is attacking the left, or not the left, that is attacking AOC right now. That's lefties who support Gaza. You see, the group of lefties who really, really don't give a fuck about real politics and aren't going to vote and never were going to vote are desperate to raise the bar for any elected Democrat beyond any attainable point. Even if it means pretending that Democrat politicians haven't done things they've done. I mean, how many times have you seen lefties on Twitter saying that they would vote for Biden if he actually did something about student debt, despite the fact that literally, I think a month ago, he signed an executive order to bypass Trump's Supreme Court to literally get rid of as much student debt as the president can feasibly get rid of with his power. Besides that, the Supreme Court blocks him if he goes any further. He did as much as he possibly could do and is now pushing to basically, keep on doing that. Get rid of everyone's student debt in these, small chunks that he can get around the Supreme Court with, essentially. And yet, lefties on Twitter who don't want to vote for Biden will just make things up and say Biden's done nothing about student loans. Because I'm going to be really honest, guys. Most people on the left, people on the right, are ignorant, and they are oftentimes willfully ignorant, and they are very filled with propaganda that's made to make them, believe they are smart and knowledgeable about topics, but in reality, all they know are talking points. For lefties, I find that, laziness is a virtue. I'm actually quoting the anti-work Reddit mod, by the way. Who remembers that? When the the anti-work Reddit mod went on Fox News and said laziness is a virtue. I genuinely believe that a lot of lefties unironically think that, and part of that is a lack of desire to do the base level of research necessary. Politics is boring and dry, which is why it's my job to make it interesting and, for you guys to, want to hear about politics from me. Because otherwise, you're probably not going to go read a dry-ass article about what policies Biden has been up to passing in the last few months. But if you have been keeping up, you would know Biden's done an extremely good job. So when people like that on Twitter indicate that they don't think Biden has done anything about these things, it indicates to me, or I should say self-reports to me instantly, this is somebody who does not know anything about politics, like electorally speaking. Like, they aren't reading the news, they aren't keeping up with policies and bills getting passed and getting pushed. They are absolutely just pretending to know politics. It's a big self-report, in my opinion. I pick up on it pretty easy. Like, I know, like, you know, I read the news. I know what's going on. I know what actual policies Biden is pushing. So when a lefty says Biden's not doing anything about this, I know they get all of their news and all of their takes from, like, lefty Twitter accounts, you know? It's like, okay, I mean, you may be right about a lot of stuff, but you're not right about these things for the right reasons. A good example is the leftist mafia. They said yesterday, when will Biden pay off student loan debt, even though Biden is trying to do that? Exactly. Biden is... Dude, the hilarious thing is, on one front, you've got, like, the leftist mafia with, like, the serfs or whatever, Lance from the Serfs and all those people saying that Biden's not doing enough for student loan debt, or that he hasn't done anything for it. And then on the other hand, you've got people who are in that same ballpark who are not going to vote for Biden, but they aren't as uninformed as like those guys are. Fuck, yeah, here it is. Here's the tweet. God, this tweet is amazing. 40,000 likes, by the way. It's incredible, really. Biden wiped out my $80,000 student loan, the first president of my lifetime to enact a policy that directly, substantially, and positively impacted my life, freed up $800 a month, and I'd rather eat cat shit than vote for him. So there are people like this who recognize that Biden has been working to to completely eliminate student loan debt, and then don't care. Because the fact is, they will either pretend they don't know what Biden is doing, or once they are introduced to the fact that Biden is doing these things, they will just immediately raise the bar further. They'll immediately respond with something like, don't care, 30,000 Palestinians dead. It's actually like 27,000, but like, regardless, I'm not going to nitpick on that number. But yeah, it really is, it really is shameful. But here's the thing. Here's the main point of this video. AOC is getting attacked by AIPAC, the Israel lobby. That makes sense. That should not surprise you. She is also being attacked from the left, and for all the things for them to be attacking her for, they're attacking her for not doing the thing that AIPAC is attacking her for. Just a few days ago, at a theater, AOC got surrounded by a crowd of leftist journalists and activists who were demanding her to call what is happening in Gaza a genocide, which is what it is, which is what she has called it, nonstop. Genuinely, it makes me wonder if the people harassing her here aren't, like, conservative ops pretending to be lefties to, like, harass her and make her, have a freak out in public and look bad. Like, genuinely, when she is the most outspoken, one of the most outspoken pro-Palestinian people in our government, for them to be harassing her of all people, it makes me feel like it has to be an op. But then again, lefties can get really fucking dumb. So while I think it being a right-wing op is plausible, I don't think it's likely, and I have no evidence to support that. And the burden of proof would be on me to try to prove that. But here's the video in question, and good God, prepare yourselves to cringe, because AOC isn't really good at handling public engagements where she's getting harassed. Like, she does kind of let it get to her a little bit, which is completely normal and human, but as a content creator, at least, it makes me cringe to see anyone who's a public figure give in to their emotions publicly. That is, like, the worst thing you can ever do, because you are giving the people harassing you what they want. So it makes me cringe to the core personally. But then on top of that, the people screaming at her are literally screaming at her to do something that she has done that is currently having one of the biggest money groups in all of Washington dedicate itself to destroying her political career in this coming election. So she's getting attacked from the left by her own constituents and having a massive amount of money poured into destroying her political career come this midterm. Let's watch. Or this primary, sorry, not midterm.
Choose to call it a genocide in front of everybody.
I need you to understand that this is not okay.
It's not okay that there's a genocide happening. You're not actively against it.
You're lying.
I'm lying.
You're not.
You went on.
Okay, I will say that this guy looks like a chud. This guy looks like some conservative who's just there to, like, troll AOC. Here, let me get rid of my camera. And you can just get this guy. I'm sorry. This just doesn't look like the kind of person who fits the demographic of the people who are sincerely out there losing their mind. Like just getting super pissed off about like Biden supporting Israel or whatever. Like I feel like this guy doesn't fit that demographic of young, college age, usually, like, I think overwhelming, like, statistically, tend to be women. Statistically, tend to be POC. This guy just does, like, he fits the category of right-winger better, especially right-wing troll. Because, like, anytime AOC goes somewhere in public, she gets harassed by conservatives. Like, there was that one conservative recently that was, like, recording her saying, big booty Latina or whatever, right? Like, that was, like, they'll literally scream sexual harassment shit at her in public and record it and post it online to, like, thunderous applause from conservatives because they don't have morals.
You avoided talking about it.
We'll assume this guy's a lefty, though. Okay, there's a pretty substantial crowd behind her, so we'll assume these are lefties that are actually just harassing her and demanding her to do a thing that she has done, and that she is getting punished for by having the wrath incurred of one of the most well-funded, like, foreign lobbying groups in all of Washington. It genuinely is, like, so grim to watch this. It's such a good peek into the absolutely, like, the lack of political literacy on the left. There is so much political illiteracy, I guess, on the left. People who just see bad things are happening, and because they have the correct positions generally, but they are very emotionally driven, and these are people who do not know about AOC's discussion and talks about about Gaza. They don't care. They want to go feel like an activist. These are people who want to feel like activists, not actually be activists.
We can't call it a genocide, then how do you say that? We're not lying.
We're not lying.
You've been
We're not
saying it in interviews. It's insane. You haven't been calling it a genocide. Don't tell me I'm lying.
These people legitimately do sound like trolls, though, because the fact that AOC is one of the most outspoken people calling it a genocide and pushing to stop it, and the fact that they're so insistent she's never once called it a genocide, really makes it feel like these are right-wing trolls. But that's the thing. Like, the most insane people on the left are indistinguishable from Nazi 4chaners that are just, like, pretending to be a, like, lefty account online, or pretending to be, like, a woke crazy activist or whatever. Like, genuinely, it's like Poe's Law, where you can't tell, is this a right-winger parodying lefties to make the left look bad, or an actual lefty who's just stupid and making the left look bad?
Then just say it's a genocide. Just say it. Over 30,000 people are dead, AOC. You can't just...
It's under 30,000 people, I think, right? Is it? Is it over 30,000? Death toll Palestine. Maybe it's over 30,000. At least 30,000. Okay. My bad. I stand corrected.
Say it for once. Just say it.
I will say the fact that they're correctly quoting stats of how many people who are like have died in Palestine kind of lends credence to the idea that these aren't right-wing trolls, because right-wing trolls would not care about these Palestinian deaths and probably wouldn't even care about the stat enough to repeat it for the sake of, like, concern trolling. So these legitimately are just, like, insane lefties. They genuinely... you have to understand that these people don't actually care about what's happening in Palestine. Like, I need you guys to recognize that. Like, I know it sounds really bad for me to say this, but the fact that they are engaging in this behavior shows me they don't care, genuinely. These are people who, much like when the invasion of Ukraine started by Russia, if they weren't the people who jumped immediately to be on Russia's side, they were the people who talked about and, like, cared about Ukraine for, like, 3 months, maybe, and then didn't give a fuck about it anymore after that. Like, notice how so many of the people right now who are, like, hyper, like, the like, lefty American, like, well-off suburbanites, who are, like, hyper on the Palestine train, Notice how none of them are talking about Ukraine at all. And if you go back to when the Ukraine invasion started, you can see that they were. These are people who are just current thing NPC lefties. They want to go out and virtue signal and act angry and act like and feel like activists about whatever is the current thing. But I guarantee you guys, the amount of effort you're seeing put in by these people to talk about Palestine and Israel is going to evaporate by the end of the year. Probably sooner. Do you want to know why? Obviously, BLM is a good example of how quickly support just evaporates among these people when it's not the current thing that's popular to virtue signal about. But on top of that, what's been happening in Israel and Palestine has been happening for decades. Decades on decades. This has been nothing new. It's just been a ramping up in the conflict. The fact is, these people have known about what Israel is doing most likely for a very long time, and the only reason they're so outspoken about it now is because it's getting so much attention now. If they really cared, they'd set themselves on fire. Like, listen, I don't endorse what that guy did, but I cannot say that guy didn't care about his values. That guy fucking cared. That guy really fucking cared. Aaron Bushnell, I think his name was. Yeah, I think that was his name. That guy really fucking cared about that stuff. He was not just some like trend hopping, like virtue signaler. Yeah, definitely some level of mental unwellness was there, but that was conviction.
That's it. That's all we want you to say. Or you're not angry about people confronting in public when you can't call genocide all over 30,000 people have died.
Stop. Okay? Stop. Stop.
We're not doing anything. We're just talking to an elected public official. That's all we're doing. That's it.
You're gonna cut it, and you're going to cut this, and you're going to clip this so that it's completely out of context. I already said that it was, and y'all are just going to pretend that it wasn't over and over again. It's fucked up, man. If you're not helping these people...
It's so cringe for me to watch this as a content creator because the only way to handle stuff like this is to completely ignore them. Like, even in real life, you handle it the same way you do online. Ignore them. Like, literally pretend like they're not there, and if they start to impede your path and physically, like, lay their hands on you, well, at that point, you have every right to, like, hit them, you know? Like once they lay hands on you, like, if one of them, like, laid hands on AOC, I hope she carries pepper spray or, like, a gun. Although it's New York, so probably not a gun. Hopefully she carries pepper spray. At that point, she can pepper spray them. But really, up until the point where they've literally laid hands on you and you've got full reign to, like, hurt them, there's no reason to give them any attention. Unless you can fully legally get away with physically harming a person who's fucking with you, ignore them 100%. That is my best advice I can ever give you, both online and in real life. Unless they have done something that has given you the legal authority to harm them physically, then and there, do it. That is the only reaction you need to have. Or continue to ignore them if you can very much turn the other cheek. But do not give them a reaction. But if they put their hands on you, if they block your path and, like, try to butt you in, like, they put hands on you, at that point, like, pepper spray them or something, or tase them, or, like, punch them in the face. But don't give in like this. Don't have an emotional reaction. Like, she could just continue going on with her day, silent and stoic, but,
People, and you're not helping them.
You refuse to.
You're not helping them.
I will say, it's possible, though, that, like, people like the fact that AOC is a very sincere person. So maybe the majority of AOC supporters see something like this and they think, like, poor AOC. They don't see this as, like, weakness. Instead, they think poor AOC rather than, like, what the average, like, internet brain poisoned, like, must be a stone that no blood can come from kind of mindset brings out. So yeah, AOC is getting attacked on two fronts. She's getting attacked by Israel and all of their funding to oust her from power, like, from her office by funding her competitors, while also being attacked by the left for doing the thing that she is getting attacked by AIPAC for, or for not doing the thing that she did do that is getting her attacked by AIPAC. because these lefties don't give a fuck about researching. They could easily look up AOC Israel, AOC Gaza. It's as simple as a Google search away, and this article comes up, where not only do you learn that AOC has been outspoken in her support for like the Palestinians and has been calling it a genocide and has been literally pushing things like in Congress to try and like get the U.S. to push for a ceasefire. Not only that, but you can find out that AOC is already under attack. You know what that makes me wonder? Were those people paid by AIPAC? Like, think about it. If AIPAC is such a evil group that they're willing to just end your political career for like calling out a genocide that the state that funds them and that they are an interest group for, like if they're that evil and they're willing to do that, is it really that hard to believe they would pay like a group of people like I don't know, $500 each would be a lot, honestly, to spend like an hour following AOC and repeating the kind of shit that anti-Israel lefties say as she like gets more and more upset? Like, it's very much the same type of concern trolling that like woke scolds use on me, right? And you just can't react to it. Like, for example, I had a comment from a woke scold on one of my videos today on a topic that was it was a trans rights topic. Like, it was a trans video. It was a topic about trans stuff. And the comment was, wow, maybe work on your white supremacy problem. There is not a single point in that video in which the topic of race even comes up. It is entirely a video about the topic of trans stuff. So, okay, I know, right? Yeah, what? That's like 15% of my comments are like that, by the way. Because the woke scolds, when they hate comment, they concern troll. They pretend you have bad values you don't have, and then demand that you work on it. Or even, and this is my favorite, or they'll pretend like they care about you and they want you to work on yourself to fix a problem that they know you don't have. They know you're not a white supremacist, but they're going to be like, I really hope you work on your white supremacy problem. We want the best for you. Like that kind of concern trolling. There's a lot of different ways that these people engage dishonestly with those they know already agree with them, because the best way to troll someone that agrees with you is to insist they don't agree with you, to repeatedly tell them, no, we don't agree. You believe something opposite of what I believe when you already agree on the correct thing. It is the most frustrating thing that you could possibly deal with, is being correct and the person you're arguing with being correct, and the other person is like desperately trying to argue you don't believe what you believe for no reason. I can see why she got upset, but oh god, every day the left makes me mad.